Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is June 27, 2023, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the Turkish Lira does it once again and trade to new lows versus the US dollar to 26 Lira a dollar. Now looking at today's major economic events, so starting the day at 2:30 South African time, out of Canada, we have a CPI number coming out, and then at 4 p.m. South African time, out of the United States, we have a consumer confidence number coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the Canadian dollar strengthens versus the USD, and as we look at the indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ trickle lower, or drift lower rather. And looking at commodities, both gold and oil remaining unchanged. And while we're looking at the stocks as they're drifting lower, kind of just wavering off, but they're still in upwards momentum. Now, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains steady and unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to start with the Canadian dollar and looking at a weekly chart. That's a major chart because it's a much longer time frame. And as we look at this time frame, and this is really important when we look at a weekly, is that we're hitting that 200-day moving average. That 200-day moving average is superbly important, both because it's at 130 and because it's hitting previous resistance, subsequent support. And that's just a very simple trading strategy, is just to buy that support, which was previous resistance. And that's what we're hitting right now. 31.21 is where we're at. We still have 121 to go on the downside for it to be called a buy, okay? As long as it doesn't breach that 200-day moving average, I believe we're going to stay above it. So just keep an eye on this as this still unfolds. Now looking at the Japanese yen, also getting a little bit weaker versus the dollar. And jumping lastly into our favorite, Turkish Lira. It's down a little bit right here, but we did touch 26, which means we cleared 25, and now 25 is going to be support-ish area. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You see that it is, kind of going down right here, but remember that it does make these kind of like one-time moves and then makes a correctional move on the upside again. So if it clears 25 and it's going to stay above 25, it could hit 30. So just remember that. As we've gone up from over, this is really a debacle. From a monthly chart, just going back to May of 2020, we are trading in superbly different areas. Back then we were at 4. This is like 5 times as much on the Turkish Lira as it's depreciating. Now looking at the other major sectors, starting out the gold, just not really trading much. 1925, not doing much, okay, as crude oil also just trading sideways. I thought what would happen with what's going on in Russia, it would upset the price of oil. Sure enough, it didn't. So kind of markets are shrugging it off. Now looking at the US markets, both trading lower. The Dow Jones at 34,000, almost flat, and the NASDAQ just dipping at 14,900, which is lower than 15,000, obviously, but that's a decent retracement for it. Now, looking at the individual stocks, Amazon, yeah, it's still in an upwards momentum. Tesla is not. It broke that upward momentum. If you look at the other majors, Microsoft also has dragged, and so has Facebook, has still on an upwards momentum. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag here. And it's summer trading, so I wouldn't read too much into it. And we're going into a holiday week next week with July 4th, so keep that in mind. Lastly, looking at Bitcoin, staying steady and strong at 30K. Now, what does that mean moving forward? Well, it's got to figure it out, okay? The reason I say it's got to figure it out is because, yes, it did get stronger, but it stalled. So at a certain point when it's stalling, I've got to just respect its levels and just wait for it to come to me as opposed to jumping it just arbitrarily. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.